But it was that suddenly realising that the fear wasn't there anymore.
Yeah.
You know.
And you were telling me you met this Tibetan monk, which also had a very strong effect on you.
Yes. Yeah, I was, again, that was in McLeodganj, and I was walking up a mountain path, and I could see this monk walking down towards me. And as he got closer, he made a beeline for me. I mean, he could have gone past, but he didn't. He came straight across towards me, and he stood right in front of me, looked me, deeply in the eyes, and took my hands, and he just smiled, this huge smile, and it was extraordinary, because I think it was just I think it's something we don't often experience, that someone accepting us so completely with no agendas, no anything, just out of the blue for no reason even, So that was quite extraordinary. Yeah.
And then you found yourself back in England again.
Mm-hmm, yes.
How was life then?
It was, since the drowning. I mean, from that point on, really, it really was like being born again. It was like everything was new. I was sort of, it's like learning how to walk again almost. It was everything was. It wasn't the same. The rules weren't the same as I thought they were. When I'd gone out the first time. So it all changed, and it was a lot of years of just sort of learning new rules, I guess, or new ways of seeing, new ways of dealing with things. Very, very slow. I've always thought I'm a very slow learner in a sense. It took a long time,
But you kept meditating during that time.
Yes. Yeah, on and off, I think, but pretty consistently over the years.
Yeah. You said something. I don't know what point this was, but I wrote this down. Later, as a result of a meditation practice, inquiry broadened in an attempt to understand why the mind works the way it does.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So tell us about that adventure you had there of finding out how the mind works the way it does.
I'm not quite sure what that was referring to. Which bit was that?
Well, I don't know.
All right.
I either took it out of something you said or the book. If it doesn't connect, don't worry.
Yeah, I can't think of the context.
I think it was out of your book, but
I mean, as a result of the drowning, I think that incident, it did become very, very interesting to me. What's going on here? With the mind. How does it work? Why? I mean, like I said, I'm seeing all this pain in the world. Why? What's the reason for that? I could see it was the mind.
Yeah.
It was people believing something that was causing them pain. And so. I guess that's what it was a quest to understand that how the mind works in that sense.
Yeah. So, and then you had the feeling to become a psychotherapist.
Mm-hmm. As I said, that was a result of a friend dying that led to a huge. It triggered off something that in me, of which it felt like like a lot of the pain of my life. Sort of being released, that was the feeling of it, and as a result of that happening, very soon after that, I began to meditate much more intensely. I was attending groups, I was doing retreats every chance I could get. It just became much more, important to me.
Yes,
to do that.
Searching kind of stepped up again.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And as a result of that, within a year of that, I knew I couldn't continue working the way I'd been working as a decorator, and I began training to be a psychotherapist. Before that, I got a job, and I think this was crucial to all of this. I got a job working in a psychiatric unit. With adolescents, which was probably about the most fearful thing I could imagine doing.
So these were kids that were disturbed in some way. Yeah,
that's right. Yes,
yeah.
And that was just a very, very fortunate, thing to happen really to work in that particular place, because it was just an amazing team of people I was working with. Very supportive, it's a culture of training each other, helping each other. Just very, very extraordinary place. So that was I learnt a lot there, and from there I think that began training to be a psychotherapist.
And what was mainly wrong with these kids?
What I discovered almost always was one thing. Almost always there was one thing seemed to be behind the problems, if you like, and that was that the breakup of the marriage.
That's interesting, isn't it? Yeah,
It was
an unstable environment.
That's right, always.
Yeah.
I mean, 9 out of 10, I would say.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. That was my sense,
Yeah.
by, being involved with them, and, you have access to their histories, and you can see, and suddenly they're fine, and then suddenly the marriage breaks up, and, it's this explosion in their lives, and, yeah. So I don't think that's widely understood, actually, how damaging that is to children. I'm not saying all children go through that. I don't think they do, but
no, but I've heard this before from people who work in that area, and they say it's very interesting what they say. They say even if it's not a great marriage, i.e. there's friction between the parents.
Yes.
It's actually better for the child
absolutely.
if they stay there.
Absolutely, yes.
Than have parents
I
living
agree,
separately.
I agree. Yeah, it's like for the child, it's like it's the end of the world. It's like everything relates to mum and dad. And suddenly they're just not there, and something quite deep, I think, is sort of pulled apart, and it's very, very difficult for them to adjust to that.
Yeah. So then you became a meditation teacher.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. Again, very slowly. It wasn't something a lot of this, I never set out to do this. I mean, as far as psychotherapy, I remember at one point thinking that might be interesting to go that route, towards counselling, psychotherapy. And then I sort of, really looked at it, and I realised I just thought I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to do that. Yeah. So I waited, and it was probably about 8 years after that I actually did feel like I was sort of ready, So it's a very, very slow process. It wasn't like I set out with that to do that. It just, over time it became, a natural thing to do.
And this feeling of the source, this must have somewhere been guiding you?
Yeah,
this connection with the source.
From where I am now, I have no doubt that's guiding you and everyone else as well. It is, whether you know it or not. That's my sense. There is this intelligence I mentioned, and it is, if you experience pain in your life, then that is the intelligence sort of saying, what is this? Why are you in pain? Why is something's stuck? Something's not understanding something. And that's what it is. And so life is giving you that constantly. I mean, you can't avoid it. You try and avoid it. Everyone tries to avoid it. But it's impossible to avoid that, and that is a gift, actually.
I think it's this process of continue looking and be open to explore new avenues that arise.
Yes.
And life is so busy for so many people that it seems a bit daunting, but it's the only way, really, isn't it?
Well, like I say, life is very, this intelligence is very, very patient. It just sits and waits, and it says, okay, you want to... you want to be safe. I mean, that's the way I look at it. We want to be safe. We want to, everything in the right place, and and that's okay. I mean, I'm not against that, but I think, like I say, that behind that there's this intelligence that's saying it's not safe. It's not. It's never going to be safe. Actually, you can try and manipulate and create some sense of safety, but sooner or later you're going to realise this isn't safe, and there, like I say, there is an intelligence that wants you to be free, I believe,